Hey, World Entertainment, and James Gunn has given a big update regarding The Batman Part 2. Yeah, and it's quite an optimistic update as well. This isn't there's no script yet and we don't know what's happening and blah blah blah. No, it's actually quite optimistic and kind of gives you a bit more hope for the future of The Batman. He also does touch on a little bit of the DCU's Batman, which of course this one won't be. But let's have a look at this anyway. And this, of course, comes on the heels of his interview with Entertainment Weekly to promote Superman, where he also dropped a nugget of the Wonder Woman movie being now in production, or at least that they're writing it. So it's saying anyway in this article, James Gunn wants fans to know Robert Pattinson isn't going anywhere and that Matt Reeves is still on board and his vision for the Batman franchise is a top priority. While promoting his upcoming Superman movie, Gunn told Entertainment Weekly that he hasn't yet cast the new DCU's Batman or Wonder Woman, but he made it clear that Pattinson remains firmly in place as the Batman in Reeves' corner of the DC universe, saying Robert Pattinson is still here. Despite numerous delays and even rumours that the film could be cancelled or that Reeves is exiting, both Reeves and Pattinson are still set to return for the Batman Part 2. Reeves is currently wrapping up the script, with Gunn revealing what Matt's doing is still very important. Despite all stories to the contrary, we're supposed to see that script shortly and I can't wait. So that's a big part of this update right there, what he's just said. So this update follows a recent report from The Wrap that Matt Reeves has been writing this script for over 6 months and is expected to turn in a full draft soon. Matt Reeves previously spoke with Josh Horowitz about the direction of the Batman franchise, emphasizing his commitment to telling a grounded, story-driven arc he's calling the epic crime saga. So we've heard all that kind of stuff in the past where he's talking about, he doesn't want the fantastical elements of Batman. He wants it to be very grounded stuff, which of course, knowing that the Batman Part 2 was meant to be set in the winter, we were all kind of hoping, and a lot of rumors were indicating, Mr. Freeze was going to be the big bad, and I don't think that's going to be the case, which sucks, to be honest with you. It could be interesting to see a new take on Mr. Freeze. This thing is still saying that the Batman Part 2 is meant to be released on October 1st, 2027, so we'll have to wait and see. But the big part about all of this is the fact that James Gunn has said the script will be handed in shortly. So that's interesting. And after kind of sitting back and looking over all the stuff regarding the Batman Part 2, with all the delays and them saying, there's no script yet and stuff, even though they did say, both Matt Reeves and one of the producers a long time ago at this stage, that there was a completed script, it hit me. This is meant to be the second part of a trilogy. And I'm now curious as to whether or not the reason there's being this big delay and we keep getting told, he's still writing the script. I'm curious as to now if James Gunn says, okay, Matt, here's what we actually need you to do. We need you to write the third part as well. We want you to film both of these back to back. That is a very strong possibility as to what's actually happening with the Batman Part 2. It might just be the fact that James Gunn is doing this and that to kind of force it out of the way so he can get his Batman in there. It mightn't be that Matt Reeves had these personal issues, which we've been hearing. Grace Randolph really stuck her foot in her mouth with that one, which is nothing new with that dumb cow. But all of these things, I'm very curious now as to whether or not it's actually the case that he did have the Batman Part 2 script done, but Warner Brothers and DC Shooters or whatever turned around and said, look, we know we've agreed and commissioned basically the trilogy for you, and as you can see there, they're calling it like the crime saga. Did they turn around and say, write the third one as well, and we'll actually shoot these back to back, so we're not waiting like another 5 years for the third part of this thing, and then of course muddying the water and getting confusing when there ends up being multiple Batmans. It'll be the case of there's the Matt Reeves Batman, then there'll be the Batman for Brave and the Bold, and normies will get confused. They will be like, wait a minute, how come this Batman's not Robert Pattinson, or vice versa, So I wouldn't be surprised if the delay was actually the fact that he's writing the third movie as well, and that the second one has been complete for a while. I'm very curious as to whether or not they will come out and say that. They may not, but I wonder and think that is possibly the case with this, because this whole, he's been writing it for 6 months, even though it was basically a year ago at this stage we were told there is a finished script. It's interesting. Either way, James Gunn, as I said, seems to be quite optimistic. He's sticking to the idea that, yes, Robert Pattinson is still very much going to be Batman in the Batman Part 2. It's not the case of, we're just going to change it. Because if he turned around and said, well, we don't know what's happening with Robert Pattinson, then all indications would be, the delay and the reason we haven't got the Batman Part 2 yet is James Gunn's fault. That he is obviously trying to set up his Batman, and he's wanting to use this as the vehicle to get there. And now that doesn't seem to be the case, because he's very much saying, no, Robert Pattinson is still there, and yes, Matt Reeves is still very much involved, because there was also that story that he had left, which the same day got debunked as well, saying no, he hasn't left the project. But I'm curious as to exactly where it's going to go, what exactly the plan is for Matt Reeves, the Batman Part 2 and probably Part 3, Is it all a go? Like, we know Part 2 will be. The setting will be interesting. It's just the fact that it has taken this long, even if it is something to do with, we want you to actually write the third one as well. You still have to realize that it's taken so much away from the momentum they had from the Penguin doing so well, that people just, it got them amped again for the Batman, and they were really kind of, we can't wait now to see where this story continues in the Batman Part 2 and stuff, and the delay just kept getting longer and longer and longer. But now we have this, the news anyway, that the script should be getting handed in quite soon. They're all excited for it. Matt Reeves is still very much on board. Robert Pattinson still very much on board. And James Gunn has constantly said, and he seems to still be sticking with that, is that Robert Pattinson won't be the DCU's Batman. He will very much be the Elseworlds Batman. So we'll wait and see what happens with it anyway. So there's the update. Batman Part 2 should be happening at some stage, I suppose. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.